Ford calculated paying burn victims was cheaper than an $11 fix. Ford ran secret pre-production crash tests and buried the results for 8 years. A 1977 jury awarded 13-year-old Richard Grimshaw $128 million in punitive damages. In 1978, Ford recalled 1.5 million Pintos, minus 7 years after production began. Now let's go through every one of those facts, starting with the crash tests. Ford began designing the Pinto in 1968 under a strict 2,000-pound weight limit. Lee Iacocca set the production target under $2,000, under 2,000 pounds. That weight limit forced the fuel tank to be placed directly behind the rear axle. Engineers ran pre-production barrier crash tests beginning in 1970 at 15 miles per hour. In multiple tests, the fuel tank ruptured and fuel leaked into the passenger compartment. Internal test records from Exhibit 125 in the Grimshaw case documented these failures directly. Ford nevertheless approved the Pinto design for production and launched it in September 1970. Ford sold approximately 3 million Pintos between 1971 and 1980. Now to the most damning document, the infamous Ford Cost-Benefit Memorandum. The 1973 NHTSA document, later cited as the Pinto Memo, assigned a dollar value to human life. The memo placed the societal cost of one traffic fatality at $2,725. The memo set burn injury costs at $67,000 per case and property damage at $700 per vehicle. Ford's engineers then estimated 180 burn deaths and 180 serious injuries annually without the fix. Multiplying those figures, Ford calculated total injury and fatality costs at $49.5 million. The fix Ford had identified, a reinforced bladder, cost $11 per vehicle. Multiplied across 11 million vehicles, the total fix cost was $137 million. Ford's memo concluded the costs of the fix exceeded the projected costs of the deaths. This memo became Exhibit 125 in the 1977 Grimshaw versus Ford Motor Company trial. Now to the case that made the memo public, the Grimshaw lawsuit itself. On May 28, 1972, a 1972 Pinto stalled on a California highway and was struck from behind. The impact ruptured the fuel tank. The car caught fire and burned rapidly. Lily Gray, the driver, died from her injuries. 13-year-old Richard Grimshaw survived with severe burns. Grimshaw underwent more than 60 surgeries over the following years. The Grimshaw family filed suit in 1973. Trial began in 1976 in Orange County Superior Court. Plaintiffs' attorneys obtained Ford's internal crash test reports through pre-trial discovery. Ford's own test data showed the Pinto failed every rear impact test at 30 miles per hour. The jury deliberated for 6 days before delivering its verdict in February 1978. The jury awarded Richard Grimshaw $2.5 million in compensatory damages. Then the jury added $125 million in punitive damages, explicitly citing the cost-benefit memo. The judge later reduced the punitive award to $3.5 million, but the legal precedent stood. The Grimshaw verdict made the cost-benefit memo front-page news across the United States. Now to the government response and the recall Ford had resisted for years. NHTSA had been investigating rear-impact fuel system failures since 1973. Ford lobbied against a proposed rear-impact fuel system standard for nearly 5 years. Ford filed 142 pages of comments opposing the proposed fuel system safety standard in 1976. After the Grimshaw verdict and mounting press coverage, NHTSA opened a formal defect investigation. On June 9, 1978, NHTSA formally found the Pinto fuel system to be a safety defect. Ford announced a voluntary recall of 1.5 million 1971 to 1976 Pintos on June 15, 1978. The recall involved installing a plastic shield over the fuel tank, costing approximately $11 per car. Ford had known this fix existed since internal engineering reviews completed in 1971. In 1978, Ford also faced criminal charges in Indiana, the first American corporation charged with reckless homicide. Ford was ultimately acquitted in 1980, but the criminal trial amplified public and congressional pressure. Ford discontinued the Pinto in 1980. Total Pinto production reached approximately 3 million units. The Pinto case reshaped product liability law and made cost-benefit memos permanently discoverable evidence. The $11 question is now taught in every American business ethics and law school curriculum.
If this case is new to you, share it. The full paper trail has been public for 45 years, and it still reads like a scandal on every page.